Hey guys, welcome to another Tea Time show with me, Mark Tillison. In today's show I want to explain what a GTIN is and why you need it for Google Shopping. So there's actually a handful of questions here. So what are the Merchant Center requirements for this to help you with your Google Shopping campaign? Do you actually need GTINs at all for the products that you're selling? What's the difference between a UPC and a GTIN? What's the difference between an EAN and a GTIN? And if you do need GTINs, how do you find the GTIN for your product? So as usual, if you have questions, then please ask them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those for you. Of course, give this a thumbs up. So let's dive in. So what is a GTIN and why do you need it for Google Shopping? So a GTIN is a Global Trade Identification Number. So think of it like a barcode on a book, which is an ISBN number. So that identifies a book as a unique item, which is a reference number. That itself is a type of GTIN. So what's happened over several years now is that we now have in different parts of the world there are standard identification numbers. So in Europe we will use an EAN, and in North America typically it's a UPC, so a unique product code or a European article number is probably what we would find in Europe. So the next question is, do I need a GTIN code at all? So what's happened in Google Shopping and Google Merchant Center is where the product that you are selling has a GTIN, so not every product has one, not every product has an EAN or a UPC, but where Google knows that that product does have those identifying numbers, then it basically is requiring that you use them. And if you don't, there's a pretty good chance that those products are going to be disapproved in the Merchant Center until you add the EAN or the UPC or the ISBN if you're selling books. So you must add. So GTIN is just the collective term for those numbers, whether it's EAN or UPC or ISBN. So if you are selling, for example, something like a branded product, very typically would have these. So if we look at Netgear R7000 wireless router, what we can see here is Google is kind of, creating a rich answer here, a rich snippet, and pulling all that information together to allow the user to compare prices for that specific product. So this Netgear R7000 router has an EAN and or a UPC, and Google knows that, so all of these advertisers here are using that in their Google Shopping feed, and Google's pulling that data together. If we do a search just for a router, this is now not a specific product, so the results that I get presented here are very different. So this is just all sorts of different routers. That's not a very specific one. So obviously I can't compare prices because these are different products. So that's what Google seems to be requiring for us as advertisers on the Google Ads network and Google Shopping specifically to use those GTINs. So the next question is, what is the difference between a UPC and a GTIN? And it's a pretty simple answer. There isn't. A UPC, a unique product code, is a GTIN. And if you're in North America, you need to use that UPC in the field that says GTIN in your Google Shopping feed. The next question is, what's the difference between EAN and GTIN? And the answer actually is exactly the same. The European article number is a GTIN. So in that GTIN field in your Google Shopping data, in your Google Shopping feed, you need to just put that EAN number in there. And then finally, so we've had this with quite a lot of our Google Shopping clients. We manage tens of thousands of products in inventories, hundreds of thousands, I think. How do I find the GTIN? So a couple of couple of tools. There are lots of others. I think if you just search Google, you can find these. Most sites that you will find, certainly I struggled with this for a while, most sites will ask you for, okay, put in your EAN and I'll tell you what it is. But we don't want that. We want the other way around. We want a reverse lookup. We want to say, here is our Netgear R7000. What's the EAN for that? So there's EAN-search.org, which seems to work pretty well, and you just type a query in there and then it returns a bunch of matches. So it's just a big EAN database, a big GTIN database that will give you the ID reference that you want, the EAN in this case, for the product. And of course you just need to pick the right one for the product that you are selling. And then lastly for today, same thing, how do we find the UPC? So if we're in North America, I found another tool that will do this, actually based in the UK, so well done guys. upczilla.com, and in here again we can just type in a product name, product code, and that then is going to find the UPC codes for us as well. So, you understand now what a GTIN is and why you need them and why Google is requiring them of you, and to make sure that you include those in your shopping feed. That in turn is going to make sure that your product ads, your product listings aren't disapproved for missing GTINs, but it also means you're going to get a lot more visibility for your products. But make sure you're also including, wherever you can, an MPN, a manufacturer's part number, of course the GTIN, and also the brand. You only need 2 out of those 3, but including all 3 is going to give you much greater reach. So do give us a like if you've enjoyed that, if that's helped you, and make sure you subscribe for more advice and tips on how to optimize your Google shopping and your Google AdWords campaigns.